What would you do if an HOA Karen mocked your disabled child in open court? Because that's exactly what happened to me, and what the judge said next made her regret it instantly. Before we start, tell me which country you're watching from, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more real-life HOA and Karen revenge stories every week. When my wife and I bought our house, we just wanted peace. We had saved for years, hoping to give our son, Ethan, a safe, quiet place to grow up. Ethan was born with cerebral palsy. He's bright, gentle, and the kind of kid who finds joy in small things. The birds in our yard, the sound of rain, his dog curled beside him. But the HOA didn't see Ethan the way we did. From the moment we moved in, the HOA president, a woman named Linda, though everyone just called her Karen behind her back, seemed to have a personal issue with our family. She hated that we'd installed a ramp by our front steps. She said it ruined the neighborhood's aesthetic. We had medical approval for it, but that didn't matter to her. She left notes, sent fines, and even told neighbors we were lowering property values. At first, I tried to ignore her. I thought if we just stayed quiet, she'd move on. But she didn't. She doubled down. She started reporting us for imaginary violations. She said Ethan's wheelchair tracks damaged the sidewalk. She said our van was too large for a family home. She even complained about the small garden Ethan and I built, claiming it was an unapproved structure. Every week, another letter, another fine, another attempt to humiliate us. We appealed, of course. The HOA board sided with her every time because she controlled it. She was the president, treasurer, and secretary. It was her show. Eventually, she made one mistake too many. She fined us $5,000 for unapproved modifications, referring to Ethan's wheelchair ramp. That was the moment I decided to fight back. I filed a lawsuit, not just for harassment, but for discrimination under the Americans with Disabilities Act. It took months of paperwork, statements, and preparation. Karen acted like it was a joke. She strutted around the neighborhood, bragging that no judge would side against an HOA. She thought she was untouchable. Then the court date arrived. Walking into that courtroom, I was nervous but calm. My wife held Ethan's hand as we took our seats. Karen sat across the room, smirking. She looked like she was enjoying herself, dressed in her usual pearls and smugness, tapping her pen as if she couldn't wait to get this over with. The judge, an older man with a sharp gaze, started by asking both sides to present their statements. My lawyer spoke clearly, explaining every violation, every false claim, every attempt to intimidate us. He showed photos of the ramp, emails Karen had sent, and copies of her own HOA bylaws that proved she had no authority to fine us for medical accommodations. Then it was her turn. Karen stood, pretending to be calm, but her voice dripped with sarcasm. She talked about how she was protecting the neighborhood's appearance and how certain families were making the community look less desirable. Then she turned to Ethan. She gestured at his wheelchair and said he was a disruption. She said she was tired of special treatment for people like that. The courtroom went silent. Even the clerk stopped typing. My wife squeezed my hand. Ethan looked down. The judge stared at her for a long time, his expression unreadable. Then, in the calmest voice possible, he asked her to clarify what she meant. She stumbled, realizing too late what she'd said, but the damage was done. The judge leaned forward, his tone shifting from neutral to firm. He told her she had violated multiple state and federal protections, and that her comments alone were enough to prove intent to discriminate. He said her position as HOA president made it worse, not better. He ordered the HOA to pay full damages, refund every fine, and issue a formal written apology to our family. He also instructed the county to investigate the HOA for potential abuse of authority. Karen froze. Her smug confidence evaporated in seconds. Her face turned pale, her mouth slightly open like she couldn't believe what she'd just heard. But the judge wasn't done. he fined her personally, not the HOA, her, for harassment and emotional distress. He said her conduct was unconscionable and that no position of neighborhood leadership gives someone the right to degrade a child with a disability. When the gavel hit, the entire courtroom stayed quiet. Karen tried to argue, but the bailiff motioned her to sit down. The look on her face, disbelief mixed with pure humiliation, was something I'll never forget. She had built her identity on controlling people, and now she couldn't even control herself. Afterwards, she refused to look at us. She left the courtroom in silence, her lawyer trailing behind her, whispering frantically. The fallout was swift. Within a week, the story hit the local news. HOA president fined for discrimination against disabled child. Her neighbors turned on her. People who once feared her now wanted her gone. The HOA board dissolved under public pressure. Homeowners started filing their own complaints, realizing they'd all been manipulated and overcharged for years. Karen resigned, claiming she was the victim of a smear campaign, but no one believed her. The new board rewrote the HOA rules, removing the arbitrary fines and adding clauses protecting residents with disabilities. As for Ethan, he got something much bigger than justice. The city built new, accessible sidewalks near our home and recognized our family in a local award for community resilience. The ramp that started it all, it's still there, painted bright blue, the color of Ethan's favorite toy car, and every time he wheels down it with that proud little smile on his face, I remember that courtroom. I remember the moment a woman who thought she could humiliate a child learned that compassion always wins over cruelty. So if you're ever dealing with an HOA bully, remember, they might think they have power, but the law and basic decency are stronger than any fine or rule book. And that's the story of how an HOA Karen mocked my disabled son in court, and how karma, justice, and one very good judge made her regret it instantly.